Howdy folks, and welcome back to another Vampy Lizard video. Here I'm coming at you guys with the DLC of City Skylines ranked best to worst. Now, City Skylines has many DLC, but today we are focusing on 10 of the main DLC. That's industries, park life, campus, airports, after dark, Sunset Harbor, mass transit, plazas and promenades, green cities, disasters, and snowfall. And many of the mini DLC, as well as content creator packs and radios, will not be a part of this video. We are only covering the main big DLC. If you guys want me to do another video on the other ones, then just let me know down below in the comment section, and it will be done. Alright, let's get started. Alright, what I think is the #1 best DLC to get is going to be the Industries DLC. Just take a look at all the content that this DLC adds. I'm not sure what the hell that is. But it adds just so much stuff. 4 new industry types. First is farming, of course. Got fields, animal pasture, greenhouses, flour mills, slaughterhouses, and all different things. And same with mining, ore, large ore mines, kiln plants, and they all have these storage areas. This is the one for ore. And then there's, of course, silos. And then this is the oil industry, oil tanks, of course, and then the lumber industry, plantation, tree plantations, got wood storage areas over here, and then so many unique buildings exist. Just take a look at all these. These are all unique buildings, paper factories, car factories, industrial steel plants. It's amazing how many different factories there are, and they will really just make your industry area just seem so much more realistic to have giant factories instead of just all those small factories that are in the vanilla City Skylines industry area, as well as adding warehouses, just the medium warehouse, this new one, the one with the rail connection, as well as the large warehouse. These do generate a lot of traffic, but most people think they are quite worth it, and I do believe they are as well, because, well, it can make your area look really well. And there are just so many things. Like, if you take a look at this, look at all this. There's so many different things that happen with trading and exporting and importing, with rail and sea and cargo. I would say that the Industries DLC can be its own game, because there's just so much that you can manage with one DLC. That's why it's the #1 DLC that I recommend you get. The second best DLC I believe that you should get is going to be Park Life. Park Life is another DLC that is kind of like the Campus and the Industries DLC, in which you paint a district, a district such as this, and then you put your park buildings inside of it, and it acts as a zone. There are 4 different types of parks available. The first is the city park, and you get these buildings. And then the amusement park, which is quite a few more for some reason. All these different buildings, roller coasters and Ferris wheels, and all other fun things. And then the zoo, which for some reason has like a lot of things, a lot of different buildings and enclosures, as well as the nature reserve, which doesn't have as many, but can still look really nice if detailed well. And all of these different parks come with their own separate props and stuff, and they all look great in whatever city you have, as well as a few unique buildings, just Old Market Street, some statues, and the observation tower. And as well, you also get a sightseeing bus depot, as well as the hot air balloons. And that's why this is #2. Moving on to the third best DLC. Remember, this is only my opinion. I'm sure that other people would not put campus in number 3, but I really enjoy universities and building schools, especially the way they look in cities. I really do think they just really add such a niceness to the city. And so campus is number 3. Campus will give you 3 new higher education schools. We've got the university, the liberal arts college, as well as a trade school. And each of these will come with many different buildings, as well as paths, parks, and then they will each come with 3 main schools. The university gets the School of Law, Medicine, and Science. The liberal arts school gets the School of Education, Environmental Studies, and Economics. And the trade school gets the Police Academy, School of Engineering, and the School of Tourism and Travel. Now, these all have great places in cities, but I tend to just build the universities in my cities, and that's just because I really like the way these buildings look. But all of these have great places in all of your cities. Moving on to number 4. This is one of the more recent DLCs. I believe it's the second most recent big DLC, and that is airports. I have always enjoyed making large airports in city skylines, so I personally was really excited when this DLC was first announced. There is a hot air balloon in the airspace, which is a little unrealistic, but this is just a tiny showcase of what you can create with the airports DLC. Some people have created some really impressive airports. I've made a couple nice ones, I believe. There's other videos of that on my channel that I do think look pretty good, as well as in some of my series that I've uploaded. I've all created airports. As I said, I really do enjoy building airports. The airports DLC is kind of similar to Park Life Industries and Campus, as you paint a district, an airports district, with the district painter tool, and then you have to build in that area, and then all those buildings will contribute to one metropolitan airport, which can level up, and you will unlock more buildings. The 5th best DLC to get is going to be mass transit. Now, I know that a lot of people don't particularly like this DLC. They say that it adds a lot of useless things, and I partly do agree. Like blimps and helicopters. Maybe helicopters is a different DLC, but blimps especially, yeah, that's not something that I can say I've used a lot of. But there are a bunch of wonderful things that it does add, especially if you do not use mods. And that is one of the best things that it adds. Are these different lanes of highways. You get 4-lane, but one road highway, 2 lanes on each side, as well as an asymmetrical version of that, as well as the 2-lane version of that. And this 2-lane one is really nice because it can just be a regular non-freeway, but still a highway, as well as the 4-lane freeway with the sound barriers on and off, as well as, of course, the 2-lane highway, both of which are very useful. The 4-lane, which is more useful, of course, in urban settings, as well as the 2-lane, which is just really nice when you don't really need the capacity of 3 lanes. And this DLC also adds many transit hubs, such as this beautiful thing right here. Now, this, I believe, is only available if you do have the Snowfall DLC, because that adds the trams. But this thing is one thing of beauty. Check it out. It's got 2 trains, 1 elevated and 1 ground level, as well as 2 metros, the same, as well as monorail and tram. That is just absolutely insane. So many different things that come together, as well as we've got the tram and monorail hub here. And then one other form that it does add is cable cars. And cable cars, I really enjoy using these either to go from islands to mainland or in mountainous areas. They look really realistic, I think, either going over the water or going over mountainous areas. But other than that, I can't say I really use them a lot. There's a couple other really nice transit hubs, such as this one, which is monorail and train, and this is another form of transit that this DLC adds, which is, of course, the monorail. Monorails can either be placed above roads or just freestanding, and there are stations that go above road as well as freestanding stations. And then there's another hub, which is the monorail to bus hub. There's quite a few bus stops for just one monorail track, but I do think the building is quite nice looking. And then another pretty new recent addition, which is the monorail, bus, and cruise ship hub. And this thing is crazy big, and it's actually really nice looking, I think. I've never actually used this asset, but I think I'm going to have to start using this in my cities, as well as a regular harbor and ferry hub. I don't believe ferries can actually stop at this one for some reason. I think that definitely should have been part, but you know, it wasn't. And then we got a tram to ferry hub, as well as a bus to ferry hub, and then different ferry stops. Ferries actually are one thing that I really enjoy using, especially if you've got rivers or islands, especially because they just make your waterways feel so much more alive to have boats moving on them. Then this DLC does come with 3 new unique buildings. That includes the locomotion halls, the traffic park, and the boat museum. The boat museum, of course, goes on the water. And that is the Mass Transit DLC, which is the number 4 best DLC to get, in my opinion. Coming in at the 6th spot is the DLC Sunset Harbor. And this is kind of a strange DLC to myself and many others. It's not really a DLC that adds one specific genre of things, such as mass transit adding transit stuff, or campus adding campuses. This is kind of a hodgepodge mess of a bunch of different random things. You've got on one hand the fishing industry, which is, I believe, where the name of the DLC comes from, but this, you might think, should have been a part of the industry's DLC. Though it is quite interesting what you can do. There's quite a few different nice assets, the fishing harbor, and I do really enjoy having fishing boats in my waterways, as they really make it come to life, and I love the way it looks. We've also got a giant metropolitan airport, which should have probably been a part of the mass transit update or DLC, but you know, here it is, as well as some transit hubs, including the metro to train hub, as well as above ground and ground level metro. As before this DLC was released, metro was limited to underground only. And we've also got the bus metro hub, as well as helicopter depots and helicopter stops. These, I can't say they're something I use often. We've also got the inner city to metro bus hub, as well as the bus inner city bus hub. This is an absolutely ginormous building with so many bus stops. It's insane. It really is a bit much, I think. You've also got the child health care center and the elder care, which I'm not sure what DLC they would have been a part of, but I would just think they'd be in the base game. We've also got some things that probably should have been in green cities, such as inland water treatment plant, as well as eco inland advanced water treatment plant, as well as you get this really wonderful large water tower. These things are absolutely amazing to have in your city, as the regular vanilla ones, they really just do not provide even close to the amount that these guys do, which is just absolutely amazing. And then, to not make it even weirder, you've got trolley buses, and you get these special trolley bus roads, large and small, and a trolley bus depot. This building is really beautiful to look at, I will admit, but it also is kind of strange. This probably should have been a part of mass transit, as well as some other bus things, just the inner city bus station and the inner city bus terminal. And then We've of course got the waste processing complex and the waste transfer facility. These are another just big, basically, service buildings that I do recommend you use, as they just, I think, look better, as well as are much more efficient than using a bunch of small incinerators, for example. And that's the Sunset Harbor DLC number 6. The 7th best DLC to get is gonna go to Green Cities. Now this DLC adds an incredible amount of assets and different buildings to your cities. Let's start off with the buildings. You get 4 new types of zoning, and to access that, all you need to do is you go to your districts and areas, then you go over to here. You've got stuff like the self-sufficient buildings, which can of course be low or high density. You've got the IT cluster, which is this right here, as well as the organic and local produce for us commercial zones, which is what we've got right here. You can see containers to go. Look at that. Wonderful, isn't it? And the IT clusters is the best way to get really high rising skyscrapers in the vanilla game. There's no other way to get such high rises as these in the base game. These are the highest skyscrapers, the tallest skyscrapers that you can get. Then you've got these self-sufficient low density residential houses, as well as self-sufficient high density residential zones. And there are an incredible amount of assets for all 4 of these, which is really insane. And as well as adding a bunch of different other things. We've got stuff such as the advanced coal power plant, the solar updraft tower, the geothermal plant, the ocean thermal energy conversion plant. And those are just the power plants. We've also got stuff such as the recycling center, which was sorely missed in vanilla. This is one thing that is absolutely great to have, I believe. You've also got these 2 guys, the eco water outlet, but I don't really use those because I use the inland water treatment plants. You've also got biofuel buses. That's another thing that I don't actually use. Then you've got some health things such as the sports hall, the community pool, and the yoga garden. These are nice. These 2 I do happen to use a little more than this one. Then you've also got the floating garbage collector. This of course goes on the water. And then a bunch of different unique buildings. Starting off, we've got the Birds and Bee Haven, Climate Research Station, Lungs of City, the Floating Gardens, Ziggurat Garden. This is a really nice looking asset, I believe, as well as the Central Park. This is just a giant park that you can use as your city's central park or just as a feature of it if you want. Either way works. And then you've actually got 3 different educational facilities. These can replace the vanilla elementary, high, and university schools. You've got the community school, which is elementary school, Institute of Creative Arts, which is the high school, and the Modern Technology Institute, which is replacing the university. And you also get a monument, and that is the ultimate recycling plant. And this can really recycle a lot of stuff, and it's just great. Instead of burning your trash, to recycle it. Let's keep the city green. Coming in at number 8 is the most recent full DLC, Plazas and Promenades. This adds, the main thing of this DLC is walkable cities. And take a look at this. Now this is just a demo walkable area that I've created, and look at that. Wow, absolutely incredible. No cars, and look at all the people just walking around. Beautiful, isn't it? And of course, for that you get a new type of residential, commercial, and office zoning, which is called wall-to-wall. And you can access that right here. You've got your commercial wall-to-wall, office wall-to-wall, and or residential wall-to-wall. And these pedestrian areas, however, do need a few different buildings, 3 different types of buildings to be exact. You need the garbage service point, the cargo service point, and the pedestrian area service point. However, these are not the only things that are included in this DLC. You also get a lot of plazas, which makes sense because that's part of the name. And these are most useful, I think, in your pedestrian areas, but of course they are usable anywhere else. You've got stuff like small plazas, as well as these really nice things that go over large roads, the glass plazas and the large roof glass plazas, as well as these guys go on both sides of the roads, and a lot of different nice plazas that can go pretty much anywhere in your city. And then you've also got some unique buildings, such as Museum of Postmodern Art, Sunken Shopping Mall, Commercial Zone Landmark, and stuff like that. And then, that is not all. There's a little bit of educational stuff as well. And these are really nice, I think, to have in a large city. And that's the high capacity elementary, high school, and university. These guys have much more capacity than your regular vanilla elementary, high, or universities. And these are really useful because schools take up space, and to be able to cram more kids in one single spot, well, that's just more space for other things. There are 3 other buildings: the high capacity hospital, the better police station, as well as the better fire station. This one is a little strange because it's, kind of small. It's actually smaller than the vanilla police headquarters, which is a little strange, I think. But I think the fire station, as well as the hospital, especially the hospital, I think the hospital looks really nice. Then you also get 2 fancier versions of the metro and train station: an elevated train station, as well as a kind of similar elevated metro station. And then something that we've been wanting for absolute years. Yes, that's what you're seeing. It's a crossway 2-platform, 2-station underground metro station. It's absolutely amazing. And this one is kind of similar, but the tracks are just parallel. And then there's one more thing that this adds, which is the compact bus station. It's just basically one of the same as the big bus station, but a lot smaller, and you can have multiple lines feeding into it. Here is the 9th best DLC to get, and that is After Dark. After Dark was the first ever DLC released to City Skylines, and compared to some of the later DLC, it really did not add as much. But what it did add is still amazing. There are no bad DLC in City Skylines, I will say. And starting off, we've got 2 new zoning types, and that's going to be hotels as well as nightclubs and bars, after dark, nightlife things. They all need people, but that's just for the demo. You also get a few unique buildings as well as different parks. You've got stuff like fishing piers, restaurant piers, some marinas, jet ski rentals, and fishing tours, as well as some transit buildings. Mainly, we've got the taxi depot, as well as the taxi stand, as well as the bus station. This is a really nice asset, I believe. It's wonderful to have in the middle of your city for a bunch of buses to just pile up with people waiting on all the different platforms. As well as I think you can see, this was the first large airport to be introduced into City Skylines. Well, it is incredibly basic, especially compared to the likes of the airport DLC. For the time, it was wonderful, and I think still it definitely has its places in some specific places, though I myself don't really see myself placing this pretty much ever. We've got a few more buildings, such as the riding stables, the skate park, as well as a proper prison, finally. A casino, driving range, fantastic fountain, luxury hotel, and zoo. As well as one other thing, which is biking. Biking is now a thing. You can get dedicated biking paths, or you put biking paths where parking would normally go on pretty much any road nowadays supports biking. And that's number 9, After Dark. Alright guys, in number 10 we have Snowfall. This is the second ever DLC that was released by City Skylines, and basically what it would do is you'd turn your maps into snow-covered maps such as this. And it is really beautiful, I will admit. I've never actually played on one of these snow-covered maps. I've never had the chance, but someday I might like to do that. But the reason that this one is in this place is that that's pretty much mostly all that it adds. And it does look cool. There's like all these snow-covered buildings, as well as these special assets such as the snowboard arena, spa hotel, sleigh rides, Santa Claus's workshop, even large things like ski resorts, or small things like the Christmas tree, etc., etc. And it's nice, it's wonderful, but I just don't find myself playing in these snow worlds. I would much rather have this be some sort of seasons where your regular city can just have snow sometimes and not all the time. One great thing that it does add is trams. And trams are myself and many others' favorite thing about this DLC. Trams are streetcars. They are really fun to add. It's light rail as well, so it doesn't have to go on these streets. But they do look really cool, and it's great to have higher capacity than buses, but not quite as big as a metro or a train, you know. And they also look really nice, and I absolutely love building with trams. Anyways, that's number 10. Coming in at 11th for the best DLC to get is Natural Disasters. Now, there's nothing wrong with this DLC. In fact, I do quite enjoy having it, and destroying my cities is quite fun. However, your gameplay is not going to change too much when you get this DLC. Sure, there are some nice buildings, such as the disaster response unit, as well as the different helicopter launch platforms for police, fire, and health, as well as these buildings such as the satellite dish and the radio tower. They all look nice, but that is just about as much as they do. Most people, when they're trying to build a realistic city, they are not going to be playing with disasters on. Random disasters, that is. I cannot remember the last time I actually played a city from the beginning with natural disasters enabled. So I just think that not much of your actual playstyle is going to change when you get this DLC. However, if you have all the other DLC and you have the money, then I would definitely suggest getting it, as these buildings are quite nice to look at and the helicopters are quite nice. And if you do want to actually play with disasters on, then well, go ahead and buy it. As I said before, this list is completely my opinion only, and this was the last DLC that I got, and it's the last one that I would recommend you get. But again, that's just my opinion. If you guys think that this is your favorite DLC, then leave a comment down below telling me that I'm wrong. Anyways, y'all, this has been the best to worst DLCs for City Skylines. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and make sure to leave a like, and I will all see you in the next one.